Good news. The EPA bans most uses of toxic solvent linked to cancer, but AstraZeneca also announced, or better yet confessed, that COVID vaccines could cause blood clots. So let's jump into this. This is a little different topic than normal, but it's one that's very interesting and important to talk about. So according to NBC News, pregnancy-related deaths are dropping. Here's why doctors aren't satisfied. So maternal mortality rates fell in 2022 after spiking in 2021. And I think we can all assume why the spike in 2021. Just pause here so we can all think about exactly what transpired in 2021 and continue moving on. Now this mortality rate falling from 2022 is a federal report. According to this, the number of women dying while pregnant is returning to pre-pandemic levels following a worrisome 2021 spike. A new report from the CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, shows in 2022, 817 U.S. women died either while pregnant or soon after giving birth, down from 1,205 the previous year, which is still way too many either way you look at it. If you look at 2021, we had such a sharp increase as we were really still in the pandemic, however you want to phrase that, and still dealing with disruptions of care, the fear of coming into the healthcare space, and the inability to access care during that time. This is according to an OBGYN at Ochsner Medical Center in Kenner, Louisiana. Let's see here. The maternity mortality rate in 2022 was 22.3 deaths per 100,000 live births compared to 32.9 per 100,000 in 2021. This is according to that news report, which is still way too high. Now, it's looking like it's returning to pre-pandemic levels, said Donna Hoyer, the report's author and a NCHS health scientist. The same appears to be true for preliminary 2023 data. So they're saying that now 2023 data they're compiling, it's looking like it's either dropping more since 2022 or at least along the same lines, right? Now, decreases were noted across all age groups and races. Though Black women continue to be disproportionately affected, their maternal mortality rate was 49.5 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2022, and in 2021 it was 69.9 deaths per 100,000, which again is ridiculously high. We still have a long way to go to create really meaningful prevention interventions and strategies to decrease mortality, said Dr. Warner Hugh, an OBGYN and head of obstetrics and gynecology at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, particularly among Black women and women of color. Now, this is by race. You can see here this graph that they've got. According to this, Asian American deaths in 2021 were 16.8 deaths per 100,000 live births, and they are the lowest mortality rate by race out of everybody. Black being the highest, followed by Hispanic, then white, then Asian American. Now, the reason this is important, in my personal opinion, you yourselves may be men and you're thinking it doesn't affect you, or you may be a woman who's past childbearing ages, but it's still important because I'm sure everybody out there has somebody they care about who could be in childbearing age range, and knowing exactly how preventative these maternal deaths is something important to know, right? I think it's important personally. Now, another one I want to talk to you guys about is, if I can get this to come up here, according to this from the New York Times, aspirin can prevent a deadly pregnancy complication. But why aren't women told this? When I was pregnant, nobody ever told me to take aspirin for anything. I don't know, maybe my doctor sucked. I don't know if you guys out there, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, let me know if I'm wrong, but most doctors I don't think are telling women to take aspirin when they're pregnant. According to this, baby aspirin is routinely prescribed to people who survive heart attacks, but there's another vulnerable group who benefit from daily low-dose aspirin. Pregnant women at risk of developing preeclampsia, which is a life-threatening high blood pressure issue, right? It's a factor in up to 1 in 20 pregnancies in the United States and one of the leading causes of maternal mortality nationwide. Preeclampsia is the top cause of maternal death among Black women who die of pregnancy-related complications at rates almost triple those of white women. But not enough pregnant women are getting the word that low-dose aspirin can help. Now leading experts are hoping to change that. So, like I said, they didn't tell me, and I was on the verge of preeclampsia when I was pregnant because I ate a lot while I was pregnant. I gained 55 pounds. I went overboard. The hormones kicked in and I had no self-control over anything, and I went buck wild. And not all women do, but there are going to be women, if you're already considered to be overweight or obese when you get pregnant, you are at a much higher risk of getting preeclampsia while pregnant. So this taking, baby aspirin low doses, if that could be life-saving for somebody, I feel like the doctors should tell you. But y'all know how I feel about doctors and how I feel about the medical field in general. Not everybody, obviously, but the people at the very, very top would much rather have you pay to Band-aid the problems than actually fix any issues with anybody. So of course they're not going to tell you these things because it doesn't make them as much money to tell you, hey, take some Tylenol, as they would get if they had to, you need to be on bed rest here in the hospital. Well, the insurance is going to pay a lot of money to have you in this bed. Y'all know how I feel. So that's my thoughts on those two things. Now, something that's way off this topic, but I think needs to be talked about right now. There's a lot of people out there talking about the milk in production around the world and things like that, and how the cows that we have here in the US, the dairy cows, are force-fed or force-injected some things that other countries have made illegal. Like I think Australia has made this illegal, I know for a fact, which is why I use ButcherBox. And I've told you guys this before. People were like, I can't believe you use ButcherBox. They get their beef from Australia, their grass-fed, grass-finished beef from Australia. And there's a reason, because in Australia, the growth hormones that are fully legal and used here by all cattle ranchers mostly, are illegal in Australia. So I know that whatever beef I'm getting from them will not have the growth hormones in it. Hold on. Okay, I had to look it up so I didn't, totally butcher what this is, but basically RBGH, it is banned in numerous countries. The EU, Australia, China, Japan, other places. I don't have that pulled up though, but it is the recombinant bovine growth hormone. It is a synthetic, meaning man-made hormone that is marketed mainly to dairy farmers to increase milk production in cows. I don't trust that it doesn't go into your regular beef cows, right? For consumption that way versus dairy. But the fact is, it is not outlawed here in the US, and milk here in the US, and a lot of people are either gonna highly disagree with me or understand what I'm saying and agree with me. It's fine to be on whichever side of this fence that you wanna be on. Just don't straddle the fence, pick a side, okay? So with milk, a lot of people believe that as humans, we don't need it past a certain age. You're supposed to drink your mother's milk and then move on, right? Elephants aren't still drinking milk from their mothers or anywhere else after they've weaned off of it. Same thing with any animal in the wild. Yet, I was gonna say Americans, but humans, we still drink milk, we eat cheese, we do all these other things. And a lot of times I think it's more because media and marketing and these food companies have made us believe we need these things and these things are good for us, when in actuality a lot of these things are absolutely awful for us. Dairy in itself can be very, very detrimental to a lot of people's health. I know for me, I don't do milk. It gives me like the mucus and will just be way TMI here, bubble guts. I can't do it at all. I will do almond milk every once in a while. Not that I'm some hippie or whatever else, or but if I want something milk-based, I will try to go that route. What I do use, though, when I want real milk and I don't want to have to deal with the consequences, I get grass-fed dairy milk that does not have any hormones and is organic, because that is the only way. Does it cost more? God, yes, it costs more. But at the end of the day, it doesn't have the growth hormones in it. It is grass-fed, so it's not eating all those grains, and it's not causing me any issues. There's no mucus, there's no bubble guts, there's none of this other stuff. And I think that if people want to have milk, they need to be making smart choices on where they're going to get it from, right? With that being said, I fully, because y'all know how I feel about, again, the government and also food marketing and everything else. I 100% believe that right now there's all these talks about how there is a new synthetic milk being made. Basically, they are pulling, kind of like they're doing the lab-grown cell-cultured chicken, where they're basically man-making chicken breast in a lab somewhere in California, where they're doing the same thing with milk now, so that you can still have cow milk without actually having to have the cow. Because we know that right now they're pushing this whole, carbon footprint and all this green whatever, and they're saying that cows are destroying the earth with their farts, because, whatever. And there's going to be people who believe that just load of BS, but that's not what we're talking about here. So they are coming out with a new synthetic milk so people can feel better that no cows were harmed in the production of said milk. You can feel better that it's not going to have growth hormones in it because it's not being used, it's not coming from an actual cow. So there is one perk to this synthetic milk, is that there are no growth hormones in it, right? There'd be no reason to put them into a synthetic milk that they are making. Now, I say there's none. Anything's possible. It is our government. The reason I'm talking about this is we've seen over the last year or two this huge push about, taking down the Amish farmers, and there's been all these articles coming out about people who are drinking raw milk or getting sick and all these other things, and they're telling you if you have to have pasteurized milk, don't have unpasteurized milk, don't drink raw milk, don't go to your local dairy farmer and get milk from them. You need to go to your grocery stores, you need to go to Walmart and Publix and Kroger and wherever else to get your milk. Now, while I personally know what milk I can and cannot drink if I am to partake in milk, I don't believe that the government and the marketing behind everything is doing any of this for your best interest or mine, all right? When they tell you not to go get Amish milk, it's because they don't make money if you're going to your local farmer and buying their milk. You're not making anything. They're not making anything off you. They're not causing you issues from that. Like, you're not getting the mucus and the everything else that this store-bought milk can do, right? The whole point behind all of it is to keep money flowing in the economy. They need their dairy cattle, dairy cattle companies that they pay to pump these cows full of this RBGH. They need them to still pump out milk. They need you to go to the grocery store and buy that milk, so money keeps circulating. If they're doing all this and nobody's buying it on the shelves, then they don't need as many of these, cattle farmers, dairy farmers, which then technically hurts American American farming companies, because then they're going to have to go out of a job or sell off some of their cows or whatever else. It's this weird cyclical thing, right? So they don't want you, going and buying raw milk. They want you to go to the grocery store and buy what they have on the shelves, knowing good and damn well that what they have on the shelves is designed, in my personal opinion, with all the growth hormones that are in there that are outlawed in other places in this world, that are in there, are designed to make you sick, designed to make you ill, designed to make it so that you need medications and everything else, and you can't figure out why you're always mucousy, you can't figure out why you have eczema, you can't figure out why you have all these conditions, and it never occurs to a lot of people. It's the milk, it's the dairy, it's the things that we technically don't need in our body, and the ones we're putting in our body are full of man-made synthetic RBGH growth hormones. If it's going into the dairy cows, it's not just your milk that it's going in, it's in your sour cream, it's in your cream cheese, it's in your shredded cheese, it's in your blocks of cheese, unless you're buying organic, unless you're buying something that specifically states no RBGH. Now, a lot of places will state no RBST. Let me pull that one up here. RBST, which is bovine somatropin, also known as bovine growth hormone, is an animal drug approved by the FDA to increase milk production in dairy cows. So you have RBGH, which is used, and I don't know if it's approved or not, it didn't say that here, but it has not been banned. But then you have the RBST. You have to look for both of those. They're both going to do the same damn thing. They are both going to cause issues. The RBST is a not synthetic one from what I gather from here, whereas, I could be wrong, just correct me if I'm wrong, whereas the RBGH is a synthetic one. Both of them are going to cause issues for a lot of people who ingest them. So now you've got the government coming out with this new synthetic milk so they can tell you, and this is my opinion because I don't know the ingredients of this whole thing, but this is my opinion, that they're going to say, well, this definitely does not have RBST or RBGH. This is better for you. They're still going to make a ton of money off of you, right? It's going to cost 2 or 3 times more than your regular milk on the shelves, because anytime something is healthier, it costs you way more money. Why does a bowl of lettuce with some vegetables in it cost twice as much as a hamburger? Why does a cup of fruit costs twice as much as, a Slim Jim? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous how the things that we're supposed to consume to stay healthy are the things that cost us the most, and a lot of people can't afford, and a lot of people are unhealthy for that reason. The milk, to me, is going to be the issue of 2024. We had the eggs were an issue, then we had chicken was an issue, the beef was an issue, and now I think the milk is going to be an issue. It's going to be this huge push. You're going to keep seeing more and more articles coming out from the government, if you will, about how raw unfiltered milk made this many people sick, and then, make sure you're getting it from your grocery stores where it's been pasteurized and it's safe. It's still not safe. If it has RBGH or RBST in it, it's still not safe. At the end of the day, I would rather take my chances with the raw, unpasteurized milk. It doesn't taste good. I don't like how it tastes, but I'd rather take my chances with that than anything else, you know, that they're trying to sell me, except for, again, the more expensive stuff, the grass-fed, the organic, the no RBST, no RBGH, all that stuff. If you want it, sometimes you have to make those sacrifices to pay for it that way. And of course, people will say, well, grow your own cows, which I don't think that's the phrase, but it's not really feasible for a lot of people. So there's that. But I think right now what we need to be watching is we need to watch the milk. Good old DT said, watch the water. Now we need to watch the milk. So that's what I will be focusing on this year. So if I bring you random milk updates, understand it's because I'm doing it for your health and mine and everybody else's health. So that's that for now. Listen, Squirrel Tribe, I love y'all immensely. Thanks for letting me bring you this important information. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Bye.